All right, I have Logan Storley on the show now, who picked up a huge win at Bellator 274, a UD win over Neiman Gracie. Logan, how are you?
I'm doing well. Back home in South Dakota, and just excited. Kind of everything's kind of going how how you plan. The weeks leading up is can't wait to come home and take time off after the fight and see everyone. So no, I'm doing well.
Absolutely. And, I think it's safe to say that this is the biggest win of your career. Did you expect to be as dominant as you were? Because it was a clear-cut UD in this fight.
Yeah, it was definitely the biggest name of my career to win, get that win, and by far the biggest win of my career. I'll say that you didn't know, I expected to keep it standing. I think we were both thinking the same thing. He thought his hands were much better, and I didn't. And I didn't really think that I didn't think he could take me down, but I knew how tricky he was on the ground, and we all know that. We've seen what he did to John Fitch and all the trouble he gave Ed Ruth, and so for me, once my hands started landing, then I was like, there's no reason to take it to the ground and even give that option.
It's funny in the first round, I was listening to Big John McCarthy say, everyone says they're going to sprawl and brawl, but it's easier said than done. And, you stuffed his takedown in the first round, and it looked like you did it with relative ease. Did that just make your confidence go to another level to know that, okay, I can keep this fight on the feet if that's where I want it to be?
Yeah. And I knew that. I knew that in order for him to take me down, he was going to have to be some kind of scramble, and he's going to have to hit a great shot. But it was him telling me that he didn't want to be on the feet anymore. And that's when I really, for me, that's when it really, the confidence started beaming. It was like I went down, sat after the first, and I was like, looked at Strout and Robbie and Kami, and I was like, I'm not tired. And they're like, yeah, that's because you didn't sprint in all these wrestling scrambles for 5 minutes straight. You kept your game plan and attacked and hit your shots, and it just kept building, until that one shot in the fourth.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that right there. That shot in the fourth, I believe it was your left eye. It looked like it was compromised a little bit. How hurt were you there before you turned it around and ultimately dropped him?
It wasn't that it was wobbly, it wasn't that, that I lost my balance or anything, but something shot through here. And so it was just kind of a freak thing, for a second where I turned, I think I turned, I put both hands up, and he read it, and then there was a little bit, I could see everything, and I wasn't, rocked or anything, but he was throwing a lot, and we were both exhausted.
Yeah.
But then when I kind of circled out, got my feet back underneath me, and threw that little, I threw a kick just to kind of push him back. And then I saw him, he threw a lot of punches. He sprinted for probably 40 seconds. And then when I hit him with that left and, fake, I think I tried to do a fake jumping knee or something, and kind of caught him off balance because he thought I was going to throw it. And I just felt it all change,
How close do you feel like you were to getting the finish there? Are you disappointed that you couldn't get him out of there in the fourth?
Yeah, when I dropped him and then I threw that leg by him through the right hand, I missed. He moved his head last second, and I hit the canvas, and I was like, that was it. That was the punch that puts him out. And then there was a couple more, but he did a good job he wanted to stay down there, and there's no reason. But like I said, he's tough. I hit him behind, on the side, a lot of those right hands, hit him on the chin, he took a lot of, I think I landed, 200 shots. He took a lot of punches, and, he's tough.
I think total strikes, you were 198 or 99, and he was 107 or 108, something like that. So you almost doubled him up. Going into that fifth round, I got to imagine your team is telling you, okay, you're winning this fight. just keep it, safe. Like, don't do anything, out of the norm here. What were they telling you going into that fifth round, and how confident did you feel, and where you were at in the fight?
Yeah, Jason and Kami and Robbie just, I don't think it was weird because me and Neiman sat on the stool. He just got dropped. The hype, I was bleeding, I was pouring water over me. We were both I was looking at each other, and it was just one of those where they said, just you got to move your feet, don't get too extended with, some of your right hands, and just keep putting the pace on them. So they weren't telling me like, hey, you're up big, like, don't get crazy, just keep working. And but when the first one, he made they made it sound like it was going to be split decision at first, there's like, and judge number 48-47, and I was like, I looked and I was like, no way, like, because I've went through 2 split decisions, one with Amasov that didn't go my way, and then the one with Shiro where I don't even know how it was a split decision. It was a clear cut. I mean, it wasn't not my best performance, but it was 14 minutes of the fight that I dominated. And I was just like, I can't go through this again, So, but I was confident when they said 50-45, I kind of looked for a second and I was like, okay, I hope so. And then 49-46. And that's when I knew, like, okay.
It was yours. And clearly, I mean, on my scorecards, it was a UD, no doubt about it. How good did that feel to get your hand raised, to beat Neiman Gracie on a 2-fight win streak? Now, I mean, your confidence must be at an all-time high.
Yeah. And it was the way I did it. Picking them apart, landing my shots, defending, everything, not shooting like right away, like with anything. And, getting hit, getting rocked a little bit, coming back, pushing the pace again. I mean, that's exactly what I needed. And to do it for 25 minutes. That's why, just like, as soon as it was over, it was just like kind of sunk in, the next day, it's like, I'm ready. I'm ready for 25 minutes of a stand-up fight. I'm kind of more of a mixed fight with wrestling, I just proved it right there. And that was just big for me, but it's for everyone else. Like, now they have to worry about my hands. Now they have to worry about the wrestling. Now they have, so there's a lot more to me now, besides me just telling everyone in interviews, like, trust me, I trust my hands, but you just haven't seen it yet.
It's clearly a statement made in this win. And if I'm not mistaken, this is Bellator's first non-title fight that was, 5-minute rounds. How difficult was this camp? Was this the hardest camp of your career to prepare for a 25-minute fight?
Yeah, it was good with Robbie Lawler, former champ, Mike Chandler, former champ, Gilbert Burns fought for the title. Kamaru used to be in the camp. All these guys that have done 5-round fights, and I've trained with all of them. So it's like, I've been a part of these training camps to help these guys get ready for world title fights. And so for me, we didn't find out right away. It was, I think, maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks left or something like that. But you just add in the extra rounds, and Tuesdays and Thursdays, we did a lot more striking with wrestling. So, I mean, Tuesday, it was a long camp, but we changed this camp is Robbie did a great job, and my strength coach, Corey Peacock, did a kind of backing me down sometimes, taking a day off, because I did a little longer camp, and they're just, we saw the way Robbie looked his last fight with Diaz, that, like, a fresh, explosive, that's looked like a young Robbie. And so Robbie really helped me with this camp of, like, we don't always have to do more. That's not always better,
And obviously Gracie is known for his BJJ game. Did you spend a lot of time, like, starting on your back in precarious positions to prepare yourself if you were in a really bad spot against him?
Most of it was spent a lot of time on top, getting a takedown, transitioning. Say he rolled through to that knee bar, footlock kind of, because he's good there. He elevates you, he sits in the corner. So we spent a lot of time in there. A lot of Fridays were spent there for, 8 weeks. So that's kind of what we did there. And then he's tricky if he gets that body lock. If he gets a body lock from, that's where he submits most guys. So that's kind of where we spent a little time. But it was, I guess the kind of scary thing with him was if he gets to a knee bar, he gets to a foot lock, he gets to something like that, and you don't tap, I mean, you're out for a long time. And that was kind of the intrigue and fear of this fight, was where I'm most comfortable on the ground. He's the best, and he's the most dangerous guy possibly in MMA when he gets to your knee. And so for me, that was like this training camp, everything was I was pretty focused on making sure everything was ready for that.
Yeah, well, again, you look fantastic in there. And you mentioned Sanford MMA and all the killers that you have around you on a day-to-day basis. It's clear that Sanford is one of the absolute top gyms on planet Earth, maybe even the best in the world. When you look at just your skill set and how you've evolved since you've been there, just run me through, I guess, what area you feel like maybe you've grown the most, or is it just in every aspect of your overall game?
Yeah, when I first got there, it was Henry spent a lot of time with me. Henry, took me in. And then Robbie, I spent a lot of time with Rob and Chandler. And then Luke was down there. So those are like the three kind of main guys, guys who are all former champs who helped me a lot. And I've come a long ways from where I was. But the biggest thing now is the confidence every time you walk in there. Like, Neiman's a top guy. But guess what? I have Gilbert Burns on the ground and Gilbert Burns, the fighter. I get to learn BJJ, and I get to spar with the number one or two ranked welterweight. And then it was Kamaru. Kamaru I did 3 camps with. And then it was, Robbie. I helped Robbie through a few of those camps. And then Chandler. And then, Chandler's fighting the best guys. And Luke Rockhold's one of the most talented guys when it comes to just pure talent. It's like I spent a lot of time grappling with Luke, and he's big.
Yeah.
And then you started to add all these other guys, like Shavkov's up there now, Jason Jackson, my teammate's ranked number 3. Then we're just adding guys from all over the world. Muhammad is, he was supposed to fight Koreshkov, and he's 15-1. There's other guys that Delano Taylor is the Titan FC welterweight champ. Like, you have so many guys of all different backgrounds, different bodies, guys that are 6'2", guys that are 5'10", so now when I walk in that cage, it's like, it's not like me training at a small gym up here, where I don't have anyone and I question, like, am I ready? Like, I know physically, like, how good I am, but like, I've never faced these guys. Well, now it's like, that's a Monday morning. What's up, guys? All right, let's get it, and that does something for you that, like, you just can't, no technique really can, that's just mental.
Yeah, a lot of mixed martial artists talk about, how big the mental aspect of the game is. When you know that you're in there with the best in the world and you're holding your own, you're ready, regardless of who the opponent across from you may be. I'm glad you mentioned Jason Jackson, because I wanted to ask you, you moved up from 5 to 4 now in the rankings. You and Gracie traded spots, and Jason Jackson is number 3 for Bellator in the 170-pound division. Have you guys discussed potentially? I mean, you might have to fight one another, right? Is that something that could potentially happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it before. Henry brought it up. We have the same agent, and so we brought it up probably a year ago, and we just said, we went through it with Gilbert and Kamaru. I mean, it was not good for the gym, like what all happened, and it kind of got split, things got weird, and Henry just said, unless it's for the title, we're not doing it, and then it's something where, okay, now we have to figure out what exactly, how to do this, so that's kind of, I mean, we trained together a lot. I helped him for Gracie. He helped me for Gracie. I've coached his son in wrestling, I've helped with his son. we held each other with a lot of fights, and it's always tough because it's different than BJJ or wrestling. You know, like we're trying to hurt each other, and that's his dream and that's my dream. You know, like to wear the belt, like that's both of our dreams right there. And it's also, you know, a buddy of yours and training partner. So it's just there's a lot to it. So it is what it is. We'll see.
Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that one of you or Jason captures the belt here in the near future. Basically, what you're saying is they're just going to kind of split you guys up for that fight, keep you separated, keep your camp separated, and then when it's all said and done, come back together and be a complete team as one, basically.
Yeah, that's easier said than done right now when no one's feelings are hurt and no one's checkbook is hurt and no one's face is hurt. It's easy to say, but it's I think that when it comes down to it, not very many people, what's the percentage of people in that fight get title shots? Yeah. I mean, it's very, very, very low, right? So it's like when that title shot comes, you have to take it. And for me, it's, you know, no disrespect to anybody else or any of those guys, but it's, you know, I said right afterwards, I want in line next. Look what Amasov did to Lima. We'll see what happens with MVP, but it was a fight that I thought I won. And then I went in there and, you know, the Shiro fight, it is what it is. But then I, you know, UD Gracie, and it wasn't close in a totally different fashion than I normally did. And so for me, it's like, I don't know why, you know, I got pushed back. I guess it is what it is, you know, after Amasov jumped up. But I mean, that's what I want. You know, they know that if I fight, how competitive that fight will be. They know now it's a totally different Logan. And so right now I'm just kind of waiting. I'm going to heal up my body, and we're going to see what happens in May, you know, with Amasov and MVP and Jason and Lima. But I guess we'll see what Bellator does and kind of what me and my agent and where the cards fall, you know, really.
I do want to get some fight picks from you, and I want to stick with Bellator. But first, I wanted to get your take on Colby Covington or Jorge Masvidal. How do you see that fight happening?
I think Colby's gonna get to his takedown. Obviously, Masvidal hits him. He hits him. It's, you know, lights out. But I mean, Colby's tough. You know, like him and Kamaru, those fights, like that's a different type of Colby. But I just think that Colby, if they start striking and Colby gets right to a takedown, that he will kind of get to that half guard, right? You know, put the boot in, wrist control, because they know each other so well. And like I've seen the older video, like Colby knows he can take him down and ride him. And so but unless they're doing it to, you know, for the fans, like we'll see how the pay-per-view does and stuff. And like maybe they said that let's put on a show, you know, like this is more about money fight, you know, and make it exciting. And maybe they have a rubber, like I don't know, you know, maybe they have a rematch, but it just depends on what they're thinking. If it's just to go out there and brawl and make it as exciting as possible, get people excited, paychecks, then I have, you know, going Masvidal's way. But if Colby goes out there to, I think, be a little more calculated and smarter, I think it's gonna be really, really hard for Masvidal to kind of catch up in the scorecard.
That's a great breakdown. I think you're 100% right there. Comes down to, you know, if Colby wants to trade with him on the feet, or if he's going to fight smart and just secure the win. All right, May 13th, the welterweight title for Bellator, Amasov, MVP. How do you see this one going? I'm sure you're going to be watching intently.
Yeah, I think that I see Amasov going out there throwing. He has a good jab, like a fast jab, and he has a good kicks. They're not super hard, but they touch. And he's going to have to go for it. If he just stands and just kind of looks at MVP, that's when he puts everyone in this little trance. And then all of a sudden, you know, here comes a head kick. Here comes this 2-3 punch combo. I think Amasov will go out there and touch, and just he's going to have to pressure him to the cage, and he's going to get to his body lock. That's what he did with Lima. It was a body lock with a little twist, and he landed right in half guard almost every time. And then Lima really couldn't do anything. And so MVP has really good wrist control on bottom. Most people don't like see that because he's got big hands, and he grabs wrists really well and pulls and slows people down. But I just don't like, I think after 2-3 rounds, obviously your cardio is going to be down a little bit. Your punching power is not the same. So unless MVP is a totally different, different person that comes out that we haven't seen before, I think it's going to be really hard for him to get that win.
No, I know you're laser focused on getting that rematch with Amasov, but how do you feel you match up with both Lima and MVP?
MVP is a fun fight. But once again, I know how, like, me talking about Yaroslav, he's going to go in there and do that, and people maybe say the same for me. But when it's you, the one that's going to fight, it's like, how dangerous he is. That he can strike in an instant. That when his knee comes up, if that hits you square, like, it's going to hurt. And so, but I also know that when Daly pushed the pace, Daly out wrestled him. Like Daly took him. Like, I know that when I get the scrambles, I can wear on you, be heavy, but you have to get your shots off. You have to get your shots on. You have to do your damage there, and you can't dive in from a far away shot because those knees are fast. So for me, it's just, you have to push the pace. You got to stay in his face, and you got to make it ugly, and then you can kind of wear him down. But you also got to have those eyes better be reading everything that night, because those shots sneak in.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, again, I know you're waiting to see how some fights unfold. If you don't get that Amasov fight next, who would make sense for you? Is there someone that you feel like is the logical matchup? And give me a time frame. When would you like to get back in there?
Obviously I won't fight unless someone pulled out or something happened with the title fight. If someone got hurt, well, obviously not. If something happened with MVP and a short, that's something I would do. But I don't know. We'll see, because we don't know how. Maybe MVP is just, what if MVP goes out there and has a 50-45 dominant victory, and everyone's like, what in the world? And Lima and Jason, obviously Jason's my teammate. So it's like, and then Lima's coming off of, if Jason goes out there and dominates Lima, Lima's coming off of 2, like, getting dominated victories. It's like, well, I get it, maybe in the rankings, and he's a former champ, but how much sense, it's just like, we don't know how these fights are going to play out, I guess.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at.
Are you thinking like summertime?
What's that?
You thinking summertime, maybe?
I'm thinking, late summer. There's probably, what is it? Say it's March, April, May. That's 3. Yeah, probably 4 or 5 months. Gives enough time for the division to shake out and see where everything's at, But I think here in a few weeks, my body will be back to 100%. And if, kind of get ready in case, God forbid something happens to one of those guys and they need a different guy to fill in, then maybe that's something we can consider.
Well, one thing's for certain, the Bellator welterweight division is as stacked as it's ever been, especially at the top 5. You guys are a bunch of killers. Again, Logan Storley, UD win over Neiman Gracie at Bellator 274. Really a pleasure interviewing you for the first time, man. Before I do let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank, any sponsors, the floor is yours.
You can follow me on Instagram at Logan Storley, and then Twitter at Storley Storm. I just want to thank, all my team at Sanford. Really, it's just what a difference having a real team behind you, guys that believe in you, really makes. Robbie Lawley's been there from day one. My agent, Dave Martin, and then Get Biofuel, Oak Grove, Sioux Falls Kitchen and Bath, Webster Scale. These companies that have been behind me from day one. And you know, obviously, you know how much difference these sponsors make in fighters' lives. And, you know, without them, it's tough to do some of these training camps. So I appreciate them all. And thank you for having me on.